Alex Simon, how are you, mate?
Good, bro. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, it's my absolute pleasure. You are such a physically striking character. I was thinking about this today that there's something about having a very distinct look that can be a blessing and a curse in life. Do you feel like who you are as a human physically, as big as you are, as commanding as your presence is that a blessing or a curse?
Look, I would have to say it's a blessing because having these genetics, it allowed me to excel a lot easier in my chosen sport of powerlifting. I got really good results quite quickly where people without the same genetics just physically wouldn't be able to. Like that's my sport. Getting big and strong was very easy for me. Obviously I committed my whole life to it, but the results, like I went from never powerlifting to 2.5 years later, strongest ever in Australia. Third in the world that year, ninth strongest ever of all time. In 2.5 years of training, it's kind of unheard of. Yeah,
Very
I
unheard
committed
of.
my life to it, but a lot of people do and they don't get those results. So obviously, genetics does play a big part. So in that aspect, sure. In other aspects, maybe not so much.
Do you think that your physical look is a contrast to your personality?
100%.
Yeah, because it's so funny. Having not had a conversation with you before you walked in the front door today, I was really intrigued by what I was going to get. And I say this with all respect. I come into these conversations without wanting to listen to too much of the other stuff you've been on. And I know you haven't been on a lot of pods, but because I don't want to be influenced or conscious to the same questions that everyone asks, I like to be able to operate out of curiosity.
Sure.
And part of that curiosity today was, what's this guy going to be like? Because it's either you absolutely fucking whacking the shit out of a set of pads in the gym or lifting something insanely heavy off the ground. And I thought, I don't know what this guy's going to meet me like. And mate, you're a big teddy bear.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big dude, big, quite scary dude with tattoos and all that. But yeah, I'm very like soft natured, bro. I speak kindly. I make sure I'm nice and respectful. I was raised well.
Yeah, 100%. Where were you raised?
Northwest Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Northwest Sydney and yeah, like the Hills District of Sydney area. Born and raised there. I was born in the city and then moved out there when I was very young. And yeah, I've kind of been in Sydney my whole life. Moved around a bit as an adult, but Sydney boy my whole life.
It's funny you say born and raised well. So you speak obviously highly of your family?
Yeah, no, my parents are good people. They did a good job. I kind of fucked up when I was older, but that's on me, my doing. But I knew right from wrong, and I still chose to do the wrong thing. But, you learn from your mistakes if you're smart and move forward.
You're alluding to a little bit of time in the pen.
Yeah.
So where did you go wrong? What were the mistakes that put you in that position?
I would have to say, looking back at it now, I would have to say where I went wrong, I was searching for love, brotherhood, affection in the wrong spots, I could have just kind of it's hard to explain fully in words, but I never, even from a young age, I did never feel like I fit in with the normal crowd. Like I was a big fat kid as well. So when I was young, experienced a bit of bullying. When I was young, because I was overweight, I was not confident at all. So I never did well with girls when people started getting girlfriends, stuff like that. So I always felt like I was an outcast, And then a few of my friends, they kind of felt like outcasts as well. So it's just that like we kind of banded together and we were like, fuck you. Can I swear?
Yes, you can.
We were like that. We banded together and we were like, fuck you to the normal people. But it was just dumb. We were just kids. We didn't know what was going on. And then, if you bunch of boys get together and you do naughty things. And yeah, I was very lost and I was just kind of searching for a place to feel accepted, and then you do that with a bunch of young kids, teenagers, you just start, causing a bit of mischief, and that's kind of what happened.
Interesting question here. I don't know whether you've ever thought about this, but this was brought to my attention recently in a conversation I had with someone who spoke about the idea of tribalism or identity groups. And you just spoke to there the feeling of belonging in a group of outcasts that ultimately led you down maybe a few of the wrong paths. I wonder, when you say that you felt lost, did you feel lost as an individual, or did you feel lost because other people were telling you that you didn't fit in?
It's a good question. I've never been asked that, so I'm actually have to think on the spot here. I was never told I didn't fit in, but it was just like, I could just tell, like I was the biggest kid in school, but I was fat as well. So I had a lot of I was very self-conscious, so most of it was in my head, as it is at 15, no one knows what's going on. You're just figuring your stuff out. And then, I just played footy with a few mates, and we were just so tired, and they were kind of like my only friends. And I guess, they were some of the naughty kids, you could say. And I liked it that they liked me. Like I was like, oh, fuck, these boys like me. So I felt that belonging, which maybe I hadn't felt before. So, no, I was never told, like, you don't belong at all. But I guess it was more what I told myself in my head at the time,
It's interesting that you alluded to around the age of 15, because I've been thinking about this too, the way that the teenage years influence that sense of self. You've got 3 young kids. How old's the eldest?
The eldest is 6.
6. So they're still at an age where, and I can't speak for everyone's experience, but I remember in my early years as a kid, you were so comfortable in who you are. You are radically expressing who you are without any filter, provided that you're in a safe home environment, because there's no way for you to compare yourself to other people. Maybe it's changing a little bit with social media for young kids and with online. But as a 6-year-old, in the time that I grew up and the time that you grew up, you could be yourself without any question. But then you hit your teens, and all of a sudden social comparison becomes a part of your world, and you start to question the things about yourself, and you start to almost, I reckon you'd be able to remember clearly the moments where you felt like you didn't fit in, or you felt like you were different, or you started to compare yourself, because it really does, it almost leaves a mark on you that you never forget. Is that a fair statement?
Very fair statement, and yes, I can relate.
Yeah, like I remember being maybe 14 at school. I got big chompers, man. I've spoken about it a few times on the pod. I got a big smile. And I remember being like a little kid, like sort of until puberty. Everyone, all the mums would say, oh, he's such a cute kid. And then I remember like my adult teeth come out, and I had these bigger teeth. And I got quite a different shape. I've got kind of like a fish-shaped mouth, right? So you notice my teeth when you're sitting there rested,
head,
right?
Bro. You look good.
Maybe it's in my head, right?
That's in your head, bro.
But I remember the first time somebody said to me, you've got big teeth. Fuck, it crushed my confidence. I was probably 14 or 15. And then any time I would smile, I would look at my teeth. You start to like laser focus. And it wasn't even meant in a way to upset me. It was just an observational comment. But it leaves a mark on you because you're so impressionable at that age. And so it's such a funny time, man. I often think, and maybe you've had some of this reflection as a dad, what can we do to help, my future kids when they're at that age to feel really comfortable in their own skin? Naturally, they're going to see things and question themselves and compare. It's just a natural human instinct.
Yeah.
But have you thought about that with kids of your own?
I haven't gone to that aspect of like, if some kid makes a statement to them and it crushes them, their belief in their body or whatever. But all I try to do with my boys is just kind of just fill them full of love. Like I play rough with them. I make them all train, all that shit. Like I give them lots of applause when they do something good. I'm always telling them I'm proud of them. I tell them they look good. I tell them they're strong. All that shit. I just fill their head with all that positive stuff. you're strong, you look good, you're loved, all that shit. You know, I just make a habit of it daily, you know, because I could have used that when I was younger, and I know that. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give that to these boys, you know. So hopefully they don't have that, you know, self-doubt, all that shit that I had, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When you think about your time spent in jail, how long were you in there for?
Not that long, bro. It was about 16 months in total.
16 months.
I did a little while, then I got bail, but I was on bail for over a year. And I was on like house arrest for a bit, and then I got just curfew, so leave the house from X time to X time. And then I got sentenced, and I had to go back and do another year. So it took about 3 years in total, just over.
So the time that you spent in jail, what was that experience like? Because I've heard so many mixed reports. I don't know if you know Jeff Morgan.
Yeah. I haven't met him yet, but we speak a lot online. Like, he's very
Jeff's
supportive.
a great man,
yeah,
you know, and like,
seems like I like all this stuff, bro.
I think Jeff spent 17 or 18 years in a cell, and he spoke about how meeting the right people in there changed his life for the better. I've heard people speak about terrible experiences in jail where you start to question yourself, or almost you find yourself in a repetitive cycle of reoffending, and you just end back in the same place because it's all you begin to know. Right? Like, what was that experience like for you?
Jail it wasn't too bad, if I'm being honest. Like, I was young when I went in. I was 18, and I was a big boy, you know, which is good. So, you know, people think twice about fucking with you.
For sure.
But it's also on the other end. You're a target. You're a big cunt that's straight in the yard, you know. Someone's there's like, fuck, I'm going to go show everyone who's boss. You know what I mean? So you just you got to be on your toes, you know, especially 18 years old straight into maximum security jail. Like, it makes you like grow up like that. Like, that's what made me really grow up quickly. It was a big wake up call. Like, oh fuck, all right, I'm in the jungle now. You got to pull your fucking head in and know the go. You know what I mean?
Did it steal a part of your youth, you think?
I never thought of it that way. No, I wouldn't say that. Like, no, I wouldn't say that.
So how would you define the experience if you look back? Like, how Alex coming out, because you've obviously gone on to do incredible things and live a really good life.
It's nice of you to say, thank you.
Well, mate, I think it's a very fair statement considering what you've achieved. You know, most people would think professionally, but what you've achieved as a man. You've got a family. Mate, we're sitting here today having a conversation. You walked in the front door here today and we started to have a chat, and you went to swear, stopped yourself and asked if there was anyone else at home before you said it. Like, you're obviously a very kind, conscientious guy. There's two ways that it goes when someone walks into one of those environments. They come out a product of their environment, or they make the environment, I should say, a product of themselves. I feel like you've come out to live a really good life. So it has to say something about what that experience taught you, or the way that you fortified your mind throughout it.
Bro, it's one of those things, like, you see boys going young, and you know they're going back in, you know. They got more, as you call it, laggings. Like, they got more jail sentences in them. They like it, you know. I think a lot of it, personally, it comes down to what I said before about that feeling of belonging. You know, a lot of these boys on the outside, they don't feel a part of anything. They go inside, they got a crew, they got mates, they got respect, they got a name in jail. They feel a part of something. So sometimes they live better in jail than they do on the outside, which is, you know, fucked. But it's reality. It's very sad, but it's reality. It happens a lot. And it's just, like, bro, I went into jail and I thought I was like, you know, on the streets being a young naughty dude. I thought I was a mad cunt. I was just trying to be something I wasn't, you know. And then, like, when my mum came to visit me the first time, like, you walk out when you're in maximum security, you don't even get to wear clothes on a visit. You got to wear this like a jumpsuit thing, you know. They tie it up at the back. Your hands are in it, so it's like a one-piece jumpsuit. And so, like, it's just, and then I seen my mum on a visit and she just started crying, and I was just like, the guilt I felt. I was just like, fuck, like, you know, we're men, like, we can kind of deal with our shit. Like, we're the ones doing the time, going without, but it's at the end of the day, it's your family that suffers, you know, and it's a shit feeling, You know, it's a bad feeling to have put them through that, you know. So
Is that part of what makes you so ambitious now then?
yeah, bro, I just like, it was one of those things, like when I was young, you know, I missed out, as I said, due to just what I used to tell myself from my head. You know, like I missed out on opportunities and shit. And then you go to jail and you wake up, you're like, all right, well, fuck, what I was doing hasn't worked. Look at where I'm at now, you know? People are doing their HSC and traveling Europe, and I'm fucking eating something called not ham salad, which looks like a piece of ham. So I don't know what the fuck it was, but I'm eating that shit. And I'm like, fuck, what I'm doing is not working. You know what I mean? You see your mates, they're going out, they're partying, they're going on dates with chicks, and I got some cunt shitting in front of me in my cell. I'm like, fuck this. Shit life. You know, so I was like, no, I'm a big boy. I got potential. You know what? When I get out, I'm just going to fucking put my head down and see what I can do and just have a crack, you know? And I'm still trying to do that now, 10 years on.
I want to pick up on something you said there. I've got potential. That's not the mindset that put you in that position. So where does that come from? Is that almost just I'm going to have blind faith that there's something better for me than I've experienced currently? Or is that you leaning back on who you actually know you are inside, but have masked for the last couple of years, that, hey, I just got to be me?
But I didn't know when I was young I had potential to do shit, because I was so self-conscious and like, the right word would be like shameful, just because I was fat. You know what I mean? But it affected me so badly. Like, you look at yourself and you just like, you hate what you see. You don't like looking, and that's from a young age. So like, it fucks with your head, your confidence. It's nowhere. So I didn't see any potential in me, you know. But then even like, fuck, bro, even like walking around in jail, like, and you just start, not much doing there, so you just start training and shit. And I was like the biggest dude in jail at 18, and you just hear all these old boys just be like, fuck, bro, if I had your body, I'd do XXX. You know what I mean? I did this, and I was just like, oh yeah, like I didn't show much emotion, but just started like planting things in my head. I'm like, okay, well, these fucking gangsters are telling me this, like, it's worth a thought. You know, and that's when like I'd already had one fight and knocked out, when I was 16, I knocked out this 30-year-old, and I was like, that was in the ring, not on the street.
Yeah.
And like, I started...
Boxing, MMA?
That was MMA, yeah. And so I'm like, all right, like... And I only did that because I was scared of fighting as well. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. I just started training, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be a victim always. Face your fucking fears. So I just like got off it. I was like, on like one day's notice, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? And like I won, and I was like sick. And then I started training a bit of weights, and I put on big size, and all these old boys in the gym were like, fuck, we've never seen anyone lift this. Like the worst form you've ever seen. No idea how to lift, but just big weight, just strong naturally. Yeah. You know? I was like, man, but then I was still, you know, in that wrong crowd.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? What you speak about there acknowledges that there's something you like about facing fear, and there's something you really like about a challenge. What is it that makes you want to intuitively walk into that?
It's because I didn't used to be that way. And I know what the other side feels like, and it's the worst feeling, bro. Like when I was young, I was a fucking very scared kid, you know? I was a big kid. So people would have been scared of me, but I was a scared cunt. I was a very fearful boy of a lot of things. Like physical violence, I didn't like it. You know, confrontation, I didn't like it. Even speaking, I didn't like it. I was that self-conscious. I didn't like to raise my voice if it wasn't around my close group of friends. You know, I just wanted to try and stay under wraps and like these ones hide, you know, and it's a shit feeling. It's not a nice way to live. So I was just kind of like, fuck this. I'm going to change this shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I did, you know, from being a fat, insecure kid, I became the strongest dude in Australian history. And from being someone that was fucking scared of violence, I became a professional cage fighter as well. So like I'm facing that shit. You know what I mean? And it's a nice feeling. Like you look in the mirror, you're like, fuck yeah, you know?
Well, competence breeds confidence. And the challenge with that is when you aren't doing the thing you're scared of, you don't build any competence. And then you continue to have zero confidence. And it's very sad that I can relate with this in so many ways, because I was always a confident kid outwardly, but through teenage years, whether it be, you know, those little comments about things like your teeth, or I struggled with cystic acne pretty bad. And it was never consistent acne, but it would break out like crazy. And I have this fucking man mountain of a pimple sitting on my head that was, you could not hide it, mate. It was so obvious. It would crush my confidence. And so I don't even know if anyone ever realized this, but I certainly acknowledged it, that I would come out of my shell when my skin was clear. It's like the class clown who wants to have a laugh and wants to tell stories is back. And then I'd sort of shy away for a month while my skin was breaking out. And I'd go through this ebb and flow of confidence that naturally insecurity then continues to grow. And because you're not putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, you're not going and doing the things that you really want to do, you start to lose the competency that gives you the confidence in the first place. And so for anyone listening to this who's recognizing, well, I kind of relate with that and there's an insecurity that I'm dealing with, do you have any advice for someone in that position?
Dealing with any kind of insecurities, man, it's just like, yeah, like I don't like giving advice because I'm still got so much work to do on myself. But I guess, you know, for example, if it was my son asking me things like this and this was his situation, the only thing I'd like, you know, obviously I want the best for him. The only thing I would say would just be like, you know, like, oh, fuck. I guess it comes down to starting to love yourself, you know, which is a fucking hard thing, you know. And that's a long process that, well, I know I'm still working on it daily. I still struggle with it now, you know. But that looks like, okay, for example, me, when I was young, I didn't love myself. Okay. And then when I said, okay, I'm going to try and fix this, that meant, okay, I don't want to be overweight anymore. I don't want to feel shit. So I'm not going to eat cookies in my room because I've had a shit, stressful day. You know what I mean? And that's my relief. Oh, I don't want to do that to myself. I don't want to feel like my stomach's in pain. And that's 5 seconds of mouth satisfaction is worth feeling shit for the rest of your life. So I'm like, I'm going to try to stop doing that. I'm going to go for a walk because I feel mad after it. You know what I mean? So that's like one form of, I'm trying to love myself. I'm going to try and feel better and look better. So my life's a bit better. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's hard to say one specific thing, but I guess it's like just look in the mirror and like most people know the things they should be doing and they're not. Most people, I'm not going to say everyone, most people know things they want to change about themselves and the roadmap to get there, but because it's hard, most people don't. But you're not giving yourself the best shot at whatever it is, you know? Like if you want to make more money, you know, and you don't have the skills, no worries. Maybe learn a new skill or maybe go back to studying or start a side business or, you know, if you don't even want to go that far yet, just start doing research then on a topic that you enjoy and you could potentially earn from in the future, which means instead of watching Netflix for 4 hours at night, do 3 hours and start doing 1 hour of study or research. Start actually ticking the box for whatever it is, you know, and you'll start seeing that little bit of progression and then it's addictive. You're like, fuck, it worked. You know, when I stopped eating so much fat, like fat food, when I was younger and I started like doing 3 hour walks every day because I was sick of looking how I looked and I started to look in the mirror and I actually started dropping weight and shaping up when I started doing weights, I was hooked, bro, because it's like, oh my God, it's black and white. It's working. I'm going to fucking double down on this. You know what I mean? I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It really does. There's a few things I want to ask you off the back of this because I think you've raised some really good points. The first is when you speak about the recognition that you're making progress. Progress is a beautiful feeling. It's so addictive for so many people. I wonder, was the first recognition an improvement in mental or physical health?
I would definitely say mental. Yeah.
And so do you think that, does mental health for you come as a product of physical effort?
Not entirely, but it's a big part.
A part of it?
It's a big part of it.
And so, because there's this really interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It comes to December, and I know that some people aren't big on New Year's resolutions or that thing, and I get it, because every day is an opportunity to start fresh, to make a change, to do something positive for yourself. But I think naturally, the end of the year comes around, the beginning of another is upon us, and so it's healthy to have some reflection on the year that was, and to start to set some intention for the year that's ahead. And I was just the other day sitting there in between some appointments at work on a Saturday, and whenever I go out on a Saturday for work, I always take my journal with me. I like to write, and sometimes I just think of some questions that I want to reflect on. And I was sitting there on Saturday and I thought, what's a realization that I have every year that I fail to act on the next? And I think that if most people ask themselves that question, they would recognize, as you said, those few things they know that would have a major impact on their life. And most people like to think in extraordinary terms, but I think if you actually ask yourself that question in the simplest of terms, there'd be some really easy black or white actions that you could take to move your life in the right direction. And for most people, it's just starting to do that thing. Mm-hmm. And it's not trying to measure the outcomes as the metric of success, but as you said, the effort, because the effort is where you get the mental stimulus from. You start to recognize and respect the person in the mirror, and you're like, oh, I respect the man or the woman that's looking back at me, and I respect their effort to improve their life. And I think that's where it all begins. There's something beautiful about that feeling.
Best feeling in the world.
Yeah, best feeling in the world. And for me, it's been transformative, because I remember, we spoke about it just earlier, when I started to look after my health again, there's a lot of my health stuff that's completely out of my control. Like, I can't help that I was born with cystic fibrosis. I can't help that I got liver disease. Can't help that I'm diabetic. It's just how I was born. It's a genetic challenge, and I have to deal with it. But I can control what I do about it. I can control the way I show up, can control the way that I exercise, the way that I respond to challenges. And when you recognize that, there's actually incredible freedom in it, because you don't become a victim of your circumstances. You start to become the kind of person that you can respect because you're putting in the effort. So for you today, because you're sitting here now as a figure who has plenty of competency, what do those little efforts look like for you that fill your cup?
That you get the self-respect from, you mean?
Correct.
So, physically, like, I'm trying to draw weight now for fighting to get fitter and all that kind of stuff. And I am dropping gradually, which I've never done gradually. In the past, I've just ballooned, for like 10 weeks, dropped like 30 kilos and then put it straight back on. So I'm happy with how I'm doing the weight stuff now, so I'm finding the physical acts, like training's my therapy, bro. I train every day hard. Like, I'm good with training, that's my thing, since like I was probably 16, training's been my like everything, savior, felt lost as a teenager. I'll go train, I feel mad. In jail, fuck, what am I doing here? Fuck this shit. Go train, feel mad. Out of jail, fuck, like, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm lost, blah, blah, blah. Go train, feel mad. Oh, I'm going to take up powerlifting. Go train. I love training. Sweet. Feel mad. It's just like everything. Like, I get depressed because of life circumstances sometimes. And it's just like, fuck, what do I do? I don't know what to do, but I'm going to go train. I'm sure I'm going to make a better decision afterwards because I'm more relaxed. I got endorphins. I feel good. You know what I mean? I get divorced. I'm like, fuck. oh my God, I don't have my kids anymore. What the fuck? I'll go train, feel good. Oh, I can breathe. It's just been like training physically has been like a huge, positively beneficial thing in my life. Since I was 16, I started training like almost religiously, you know? So that aspect I'm good. The main stuff now I'm working on is the mental strength, you know, which is a process I'm still working out. I still have my moments, you know, but I know when I do get a roll on with that stuff, like it's just simple shit like, okay, first thing I do when I wake up, all right, instead of just going on my phone and start scrolling and wasting my time and just dumbing my fucking brain, I'll just start saying, okay, what's 3 things I'm grateful for today? You know what I mean? Just a quick one. Start the day in a positive headspace and it just reminds me of my blessings. You know? Okay, sweet. I'll go have a cold shower. Ah, fuck, feel good. I'll do 60 seconds of breath work. Close my eyes. Ah, feel relaxed, feel calm. All right, I'm ready for my morning. You know, these things take 5 minutes max. And if you do them every day for a week, you feel the momentum. You know, everyone can do 5 minutes. You know? But if you just compound it day after day, like you feel the momentum. And I notice then when I get stressed and I'm lazy and I don't do it, you feel that momentum too. You get stressed more easily. You're in, you know, bad traffic, someone beeps at you, and you just think, fuck this cunt. But if you've been breathing and you've been meditating and you're calm, you go, oh, it's all good. He beeps at you. It's all good. He's having a bad day. All good. You know what I mean? Your mindset changes. And it's like, it's black and white. So I'm still working on that now. But I know when I do the good mental things I should do, now I look in that mirror and I go, well done. Like, good shit. Let's keep this up. You know? Mad feeling.
It's a great feeling. It's interesting what you say because gratitude, scientifically backed to recognizing and being grateful for things, is scientifically backed to improve your mental state of being. The same as breath work, the same as cold shower, the same as trying to steer clear of the social media scroll in the morning. So there's plenty of science behind what you're saying. I was thinking about this week because I had been thinking about trying to limit my time on social media in the mornings and the evenings.
If you figure it out, let me know. I struggle with it.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, very hard.
And so this one, I think it was Tuesday, I decided I was just not going to touch my social media till about 7 in the morning. I like to listen to a podcast in the morning, but sometimes I like to scroll. I probably take far too long of a shit because I sit there and have a bit of a scroll, but it doesn't stop me from, I train every morning. I'm active, so it doesn't stop me from doing anything I need to do. Yeah. So it's had no real negative impact on my life. But this one particular day I decided not to touch social media before 7 in the morning and after 7 at night. I felt a sense of improvement in my mental state. And I sat there and I really scanned it. I thought, why do I feel better about this today? The truth is, it was probably just the fact that I respected my ability to be a little bit more intentional about the way I started and finished my day. Right? And so I wonder how much of your morning routine, that 5 minutes, is linked back to, I feel good because I respect the way that I started my day.
I think it's if not all of it, the majority. It's just that, okay, I've said I'm going to do this to myself. Not even if you say it to anyone else. Before I go to bed, I had a shit day. I didn't do the things I did. All right, when I wake up, first thing, I'm not going to look at my phone for like half an hour, you know, or whatever. I'm going to do my gratitude. I'm going to do a cold shower. I'm going to do my breath work. Then I'm going to start my day. It'll take 5-10 minutes max. You know, I'm going to do that. And you wake up, you go, oh, fuck, shit, sleep. Oh, whatever. Oh, fuck, feel shit. Whatever, let's get up. It's like, and then you go, fuck, I'm a weak cunt. You know what I mean? I couldn't even conquer that. But then when you do it, and then you're like, all right, fuck yeah. You did it. Let's build some momentum. Just little shit like that, but bro, I swear it compounds.
It does. It makes an incredible difference in your life. One of the things I was really interested to ask you today, because I'm fascinated about this for myself, we kind of touched on it a little bit before we hit record. We were talking about being able to separate who you are as a human being from who you are as a human doing, as a professional. Your professional world is very outcome driven, whether it was powerlifting, your tallies, your totals are the things that ultimately make you successful or not. And in the fight world, pretty clear outcomes. Not all the time if it's a decision, but there's an outcome. There's a winner, there's a loser, right, in a fight, unless there's a draw. I wonder for you, in a world where you're almost always chasing your next opportunity, because once one thing is behind you, you've got to go out and earn and find the next opportunity. How do you separate your sense of self-worth from what you do?
I've thought about this a lot, and I used to struggle with it a lot, especially coming from like my background being the biggest, strongest dude in Australia. That was my identity, But yeah, it's through fucking a lot of hard work mentally that I've been able to separate myself from that and humble myself and just realize that, okay, this is what I do for a sport and for a hobby and passion, but that's not me. That's not just me. Here, like when you pass away, here lies Alex, powerlifter and cage fighter. No, it's like, okay, I'm a person. I'm a son. I'm a sibling. I'm a father. I'm a friend. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things. It's like, I want to try and help people. I want to make, like, mental health and mental strength is a huge passion of mine. I want to make people feel better. It's like, I want my kids to be better because they had me as a dad. I want to fill them up with love and strength and confidence. I want them to say, fuck yeah, my dad was the best. Like, I want to see their mental strength because I could help them. If I have a conversation with someone that's doing it a bit tough in the head and he, can just not even feel better, but just even, feel heard and listened to because I've given him that time. It's like that. It's almost sounds selfish, but I'm happy to do that for him because that makes me feel better too. So it's a win-win, So it's like, yeah, you got your thing. Like my thing's being the strong dude, and now I'm trying to still pursue my fighting, but that's not just me. I want people to say, oh, Alex, he's a fucking man. He's a good friend, And my close friends, I don't have many at all, but my close friends, like they know, like if they're struggling, they can chat to me, and I'm gonna be there, and not judge them and listen, And if they want advice, I'll give them advice, but you don't always have to even say anything. You just got to be there sometimes, That's what a good friend is, I'm trying to do that with my kids, just be a good dad. When they start ranting about whatever stupid issue they had at school, I'm like, yeah, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my head, but I'm like, I'm going to let him talk. I'm going to let him say how he feels, so at least he feels heard, Just shit like that. But you need a passion, you need a purpose. My purpose is I want the people in my circle to feel better because I'm in that circle. You know what I mean? So,
man, there's such power in that. I'm a big believer that purpose fuels progress.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And when I say progress, not just clear, measurable progress, but internal progress. The progress where you start to, as we've alluded to many times today, start to feel a sense of self-love for the human being that you are, because you're rocking up in the world in a noble way. And man, it's so challenging when you're a naturally ambitious character to be selfless at times. Because you're trying to achieve things, and sometimes you get in you put your selfish boots on, you're trying to charge through the world in a way that makes sense to achieve what you're trying to achieve. And to slow down and think about the people around you is something you actually have to be very intentional about.
Yeah, correct.
I am in awe of my partner sometimes, all the time. But sometimes because I recognize my own selfishness and I look at her and how patient she is with me, how little she cares about the things that she's doing in order to give attention, time, care, and a listening ear to me.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, you're so amazing. I can learn so much from you. And it's such a challenge when you're naturally an ambitious character. It's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Which part?
Do you feel the challenge of being such an ambitious character, and as a dad and as a friend who wants to be the person that can sit there and make them feel heard and feel loved, do you sometimes struggle to do that?
You mean separating the two? Like the goal chaser...
For sure.
And then doing the other stuff we just spoke. Yeah, it is hard. You have to, it's like you put it in two different categories. All right, the goal chasing shit, that's my job. That's my work. Whatever that involves, you know? All right, that's my job. I need to do this. But then as soon as that's done, okay, that's done. All right, here's my other shit I got to be open towards, you know, and put my time and energy into, you know? So... I guess it's just boundaries, you know, try not to waste time on stupid shit as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, you have to still obviously be ambitious and get your shit done, or else you're not going to get anywhere. But then it's just the other time, it's like, all right, beautiful, we got that done. What's the next thing? It's this part, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I was listening to, have you ever heard of Dry Creek Dwayne?
Nah.
Old fella on YouTube who's become a bit of a fucking superstar on the platform. He's an old rancher, wears the cowboy hat.
Australian or American?
American dude. Yeah. And he's just recently on Chris Williamson's podcast. And he spoke about how every man needs to find their balance. Yeah. And that looks different for every guy. Some people can be a little bit more extreme than others. It's naturally, it's a feeling. You know intuitively when you found your balance. But I found it very, very interesting because inherently as a man, I strive for balance. I want to feel balance in every area of my life.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel centered, makes me feel grounded.
Yeah.
What's balance look like to you?
Balance to me is ticking the boxes I know I have to for my job, sport, career, whatever you want to do, you know. And for me, obviously it's a lot of training. Sometimes it's a lot of traveling in the car, you know, which gets annoying, but I've been doing it for a long time and it's just, it is what it is. I got to do it. Just shut the fuck up, get it done. So it's just ticking the boxes of, all right, I'm going to train today and, all right, I got this coming up. Okay, sweet. If I'm doing this, that means Saturday, I need to get up at whatever, 7 a.m. for a 9 a.m. session. I've got a lot of injuries now. So most people can just rock up to training and start training. I can't do that, right? I need to get there and do my activations, my mobility, my stretching. I need to warm up my body, my engine, so I can then do my skills training of my sport. So that means I need to get there sometimes 45 minutes earlier and just do my thing to get through the session. So that just involves that, all right, sweet. And my mates, hey, you want to go to dinner Friday night? We'll go out. It's like, yeah, I could, but I want to feel shit then. I'm going to not have much sleep. So I'm going to feel shit when I do that session. What do you want to do? Do you want to go do the social thing or do you want to... And you know you're not meant to. You know you're going to feel shit. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're going to say, oh yeah, I feel under. I'm not myself. And you're going to lose that little bit of respect for yourself. Or it's like, nah, I'm not. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to bed on time. And I'm going to wake up and, fuck yeah, I feel mad. Oh, I'm proud of myself. I didn't cave into that.
Is that seasonal for you though?
Is it what, sorry?
Is it seasonal for you though? Because obviously at the moment you're preparing for a fight. But I'm sure that at times you'd feel like you need this, like when you're not preparing for something, the social...
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's just, that's when you got a date locked in, you got 8 weeks to do your business. You know what I mean? Then it's just, the social life takes a hit. Yeah. It is what it is, you know?
And so you're in an 8-week camp at the moment?
Oh, this one I just agreed to a fight a few days ago. So I got 10 weeks now. Plenty of time to get
John
fit.
Hopoate I.
Yeah.
Big Aussie name, man. A lot of people recognise him in the space. Yeah.
He's still going, bro. He's a hard cunt. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Bro. Yeah, he's not young. But you know what? I haven't been active, bro. I've had 4 surgeries in 5.5 years. I haven't been active. I think I've had 4 fights. I've lost. Oh wait. In 5 years, I've had 4 fights. Lost 2 of them. You know, so I'm not active either. I'm not in a good place either. So it's like, man, I think it's a good fight for me. I haven't had a fight for, it will be like, I think 20 months when the fight happens. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good fight, to be honest. You know, yeah, he's older. He's obviously not what he was when he won the Australian heavyweight boxing title, but he's still a 120 kilo Tongan, and in a small MMA glove, if he hits me, I'm going to fucking feel it.
Sure.
So I need to be careful. So I respect him. I'm going to train hard and get in there.
He's surely watching your videos that you're posting online. And mate, I'm watching you hit pads. That's how I come across you.
Oh, yeah.
Video on my
Most
Explore
people do.
page popped up and I was like, oh my God. The first thing I recognised was the sound.
Oh, really?
You know, like I've haven't trained a lot for a lot of years, but I used to just do a bit of Muay Thai for fun.
Yeah.
And you could hear when one of the boys who really knew how to throw a kick
Yeah.
or really knew how to like hit a pad,
Yeah.
you can hear it. It sounds so clean.
Yeah.
And the first thing I recognised, I think I was just in a doom scroll and I heard the sound of the pad being hit.
Yeah.
And I looked and I was like, who is this man Mountain?
Yeah.
And what business does he have hitting pads?
Yeah.
But surely there is a psychological element to you being as the physical prowess that you are. Like, do you use that in preparation mentally when you're going into press conferences and, you know, you're doing the weigh-in and you're doing all that and you're shaping up against your opponent?
Use
it as an advantage to psychologically try to win that fight before you step in the cage?
Bro, you know what? The whole, I don't think I've said this on a public thing before, so this will be a first for your one. I do mushrooms now, bro.
Really?
Yeah, I do mushrooms, bro. So
in the lead up to a fight?
Oh, no, I just mean in my life in general.
Yeah.
So I'm a healed man. I'm a calm man. You know, my ego is, no. I used to like I'm a big, strong motherfucker. I'm the strongest cunt in Australia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been knocked out by a big Samoan. You know what I mean? I've been humbled. I'm a fucking man, bro. You know what I mean? Sweet. It's a fight. It's a heavyweight fight in a tiny glove. You get hit, you can go down. No worries. You know what I mean? I'm going to get in there. I'm not better than anyone. No one's better than me. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to train hard and try my best. And regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be proud of myself. As long as I trained hard and got in there and gave it my best, I'm happy, bro. Because my kid does jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? That's what I tell him before he goes on the mats. All I want for you to do is try your best. And he's like, okay. I'm trying to talk to me how I talk to my boys now. You know? There's got to be a winner and a loser. That's it. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. That's the sport. It is what it is.
That's life.
So I'm not trying to psych anyone out. I don't give a fuck about that shit, bro. I want to go and just give my best in a sport, in what I think is the ultimate sport. You know, shirts off, in a cage, in front of everyone, wanting blood. All right, let's see who's the better man. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And it is what it is, bro.
Man, I love it. It's so interesting to hear. And I think the reason I asked that question is because of, like I said, you are such a contrast.
Yeah.
Your personality to your physical prowess is a huge contrast. And I mean that in the most complimentary of ways.
Thanks, bro. Yeah.
I think that the headspace that you exist in is so healthy and so many can learn. I can certainly learn from what you're saying right here, because it is a way in which you can live your life and get the most out of every experience, as opposed to sitting on your own pedestal and when things are going well, amazing, you feel on top of the world. And then when things are going terribly, your sense of self is emptiness.
But I'm only this way now because I've been that way and I've experienced both, you know. I've experienced that highs, you know, and it's the best feeling in the world. But then I've experienced that low and it's the worst, loneliest, most shameful feeling, you know. And it's only through those experiences that you start to look back and reflect, all right, you know, it's not my identity. You know, it's a part of who I am. It's a thing I do. It's not me. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but it's especially when you're young and you're just head down going for the goal, sometimes you just get stuck in that mentality. Ego, fuck, I'm the baddest cunt. All that shit. You know what I mean? But, no, bro, it's at the end of the day, like, we're people and whatever we do, it's a part of us. You know, then there's another part. So, yeah, like, I used to, when I was young, I used to fight because I was scared of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, I want to face my fears. But because I wasn't a confident boy and I had so much self-confidence issues, you know, I loved the attention it brought me. You know, there's a reason a fat kid became the biggest, strongest motherfucker in Australia. Because then everyone's like, patting me on the back, fuck, Alex is an animal, fuck, I go out, I'm the biggest cunt anyone's ever seen. And they give me all these pats on the backs. And I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm worthy. You know what I mean? It's because I didn't love myself. And I've wanted other people's validation. But now I love myself. I just want my validation. You know what I mean? I'm true to myself. So now I still do the sport and I want to continue to do the sport because it's a challenge. And I like the challenge. I don't like getting injured, but it's like I've come back from that many injuries, bro, which would have ended people, and I know that for a fact. I know many people that have quit after they've had one of the 6 career-ending injuries I've had. You know, I know a lot of people that quit, and it's every time I've had those big surgeries, it's just like, fuck, you want to quit. You're just saying like, fuck this, why me, blah, 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 but you just got to get back on the horse, you know, and it's just, fuck it. It is what it is. I can just start training again and getting back and just going hard, and it is what it is. Or you could just sit on the couch and cry. You know, it's like, what's the options?
Mate,
You know
beautifully said. So beautifully said.
I think I
love
ramble
that.
a bit, but anyway.
No, man, that's so well said. I love that. So, in the state of mind that you're in now, at this stage in your life, what keeps you up at night?
What do you mean?
What really challenges you at the moment? Because you sound like you're in a really healthy place, mentally, physically. You're capable at the moment. You've overcome these injuries. You're training. You're working towards something. You got a lot to be proud of. So, what is there anything at the moment that's really challenging you?
I would like to reach my potential. You know, so I'm 31. I do want to reach my potential in the fighting space. You know, I would regret it if I didn't.
What does that look like?
Oh, I'd like to fight in the UFC and kick some ass, bro. You know, if you can say when your career's over, you can say you're legitimately one of the strongest men walking the planet and fought in the fucking biggest, baddest league fighters of the planet, you know. If you're one of the strongest men in the world and then you fought in the UFC and won some fights and kicked some ass and knocked some people out, no one's ever done that. Ever. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine going to the very top level in the world, not Australia, in the whole world, at 2 completely different sports. That's something that I can be proud of. You know what I mean? My kids could be proud of that. So I know I got the tools. It's just whether or not we can execute. So I'd like to execute that. And another thing I know deep down in my heart, it's a big, big, big passion of mine. I want to help people. You know, I want to build like a platform where people, not even to call it like struggle with mental health, but I want to help people build mental strength, you know? Like I'm a trainer, but that's my day job, all that stuff. So I help people get strong physically, but it's like, bro, the mental space is such a big part. You know what I mean? I want to help people get mentally strong too. And I want to say, you know, if I can speak like this, being one of the strongest men in the world, and if I can, you know, one day, God willing, fight in the UFC and do okay, one of the best fighters in the world, well, who are you to say that something's quite weak or something like that, you know? So that's a big passion of mine, which I'd like to execute, in the future.
It sounds to me like you have a problem with people who speak negatively on men opening up. Is that a fair statement?
It's not a problem, but I just know it's not right. You know what I mean? Like,
I've thought a lot about this, right?
me too.
I'm an emotional cat.
Same.
Doesn't take much to get a couple of tears out of me. Like,
Nice.
mate, whether it's
Nothing
a good
wrong with that,
movie,
bro.
the amount of times that the listeners of this podcast will have heard me open up, have some tears, sit across... Mate, I sat across from a guest a week
Takes
or two
strength.
ago. Oh, mate, and they were just telling me... Mate, they weren't even upset. They're telling me a sad story. I'm tearing up because I've got such an empathetic heart that I just feel other people's feelings.
Likewise, bro.
And mate, and I love that about myself, right?
Same.
But I think about how important it is to have a guy like you on this show who can sit here and say that, because your physical prowess, nobody can argue that you're an alpha. Nobody can sit there and say that Alex Simon is not an alpha, because in your professional life, you're proving that to be the case, in the way that you lead as a dad for your family, in the way that you lead as somebody who allows others to lean on them. Mate, you're a fucking man in the truest of senses.
Thanks, bro. I really appreciate that.
Nah, mate, and I mean that. But the fact that you can also sit here and say there is power in vulnerability, I think that moves mountains for people.
There is, though.
There is, right?
There is. People are just scared to say it because of how some fuckwit might judge them. Who gives a fuck about that fuckwit? Who's he to you? You know what I mean?
Do you remember the first time you were super vulnerable in a public place?
Not at the top of my head. No.
Is there a show that you've been really vulnerable on where like it's been emotional for you, like a podcast, or in a space where you realised for the first time, not just something you were telling yourself in your head, but you actually realised it as it played out in real life? That vulnerability, this moment right here where I'm expressing emotion, is power, not weakness.
I can't remember an exact moment, but for me and like my quote journey, it's just one of those things like it's just a lot of like self-reflection, and as you get older and you go through life experiences, and it's usually bad experiences that tend to lead you to a lot of self-reflection. It was for me, after I got divorced from my ex-wife, and like, I went from every night my kids are born, rubbing their back, to sleeping, the last thing I hear is "Daddy, I love you," to sleeping in a house without him. You know what I mean? Like that. It's just like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Like, fuck, how did I get here? And you can I just went in a bad hole. And then it's just like, all right, I'm in a bad hole. Like, what do? Do I stay here, or do I just say, fuck, like, this is shit. It's not what I wanted, but it's reality. I need to get out of here. And you just start clawing and climbing your way out. And that means facing your shit. Okay, why do I act this way? Let's actually break it down for a minute. You know what I mean? And you just start figuring shit out as you go. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like, all right, I'm committed to the process. So it's just one of those things. I think it's just being real with yourself and just wanting to do better. You know what I mean? And a big part of, like what I said, I really want to help people. And I'm very, I get emotional too, bro. And I like listening to people, and I like giving them that space to be vulnerable. I think because that's what I needed when I was young, because I had all these issues, like just emotionally. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to give that to people. Or else if I don't, I'm a fake cunt.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I'm not a fake cunt. I don't want to look in the mirror and say I'm a fucking piece of shit, selfish fuck. Fuck that. That's not me. So it's like, all right, this is a situation. Let's just be real with ourselves. And that involves coming on podcasts and speaking vulnerably instead of just, yeah, I'm Alex, I'm the strongest cunt in Australia and I knock motherfuckers out. Yeah, I'm a big tough cunt. That's it. You know what I mean? I probably said that 5 years ago a few times, you know, but it's like, nah, let's just be real. This is, you know, this is what it is. You know what I mean?
Part of growth, man.
It is,
and
bro.
part of understanding yourself.
Yeah, it's growing up. It's realizing who you are as a person as well, you know, which takes time and a lot of self-reflection.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm just figuring it out now. I'm 31, you know?
Probably always will be.
Yeah.
You know, that's the joy of it.
Yeah.
That's the joy of it. And that's the way you got to
Sure.
reframe it. There's joy in it. There's joy in figuring out who you are.
Yeah.
There's joy in the reflection.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a really vulnerable question.
Let's party.
You spoke about when you went into that hole,
Yeah.
particularly after the divorce, and recognizing that you weren't going to hear the kids say goodnight to you every night anymore. You're only going to experience that 50% of the week.
Yeah.
When you think about that realization and the obvious disappointment that you don't get to have your kids present as much as you once did, but what did that make you feel about yourself?
As far as...
Like, what was the emotion that you felt? Because you're recognizing that this is changing, and that's obviously taken a toll on you mentally.
Yeah.
So what was the actual feeling that you felt when you were starting to recognize that this was going to change?
Oh, bro, the first feeling is you feel like a failure. You feel like you've failed your kids. Like, you've caused them to come from a broken home. And I never wanted that. You know, it's the worst feeling in the world. Like, things to yourself you can cop, but it's like, fuck, you bring kids into the world. You want to do right by them. It's like, all right, now me and their mother have gotten divorced. Now they're from a broken home off to a quite bad start. You feel shit. You feel like a failure. I did big time. That was the hardest part for me, that the guilt for them. You know, it's like, and dealing with that, like, I miss them fucking so much, but it's like, all right, that's my pain. I've been through shit. I'm tough. I can deal with that. It's like, but the guilt you feel, that's what kills you, bro. That's a big reason why people kill themselves. Guilt, shame. You know what I mean? So it was trying to accept the situation and then just realizing this is what it is. I can just sit there like, fuck, I feel so bad for them, blah, blah, blah. Or I can just get on with it and just, this is my reality. And when my boys are with me, I can be the best dad I can be for them. You know, I can fix my fucking brain, my mental health, my mental strength, so that when they see me, they know they're just getting love, affection, positivity. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, this is my reality. What do we do? Do we make the best of the situation, or do we just go and make the worst of it, get on the piss every night and just drink away my pains and then not even be a present dad? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. It's really interesting you mentioned the word acceptance. I had a bit of a revelation recently that resilience is spoken about a lot now. It's a bit of a buzzword, right? And I think there's beauty in that because it means that more people are hearing about something that's really important. But I was sitting there questioning, what actually is resilience? Because I can point to examples of it, but what is resilience made up of? And I was like, oh, in a way, resilience is kind of a cocktail. And I'm working on this idea, right, that it's a shot of acceptance. You got to accept the situation you're in to be able to act in a resilient way. It's a shot of endurance, because to be resilient, you have to endure something challenging or something painful. And then it's a heavy dose of purpose. If you've got a purpose that's big enough to move through it, you'll find a way to be resilient. Does that reign true?
Well said, bro. Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but you're spot on.
So for you, what did it look like finding the acceptance for the situation that had changed, for the fact that you're now divorced and the fact that your kids are going to exist in a broken family?
It just, the acceptance part.
Yeah, like how do you find that acceptance?
It's just it took a while. It took a while, bro. It's like a lot of you do all the head miles. What if? or could I have done different? You know what I mean? Or that shit. But it's just like, okay, let's look at the stats. More than 50% of marriages fail now. Okay, am I the worst person in the world because I didn't make it with my ex-wife? No, actually, more than 50% of people don't make it. Does that mean everyone's a failure and a shit dad? No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Can I still be an amazing dad even though I only got him 50% of the time? Of course I can. I'm going to try my fucking best to be. It's like, this is, okay. It's not what I wanted, but it is what it is. There's a lot more people worse off than me because, you know, their marriage didn't work out. You know what I mean? Okay, sweet. I didn't have to go through the court system with my kids. We came to an agreement by ourselves. 50-50. Sweet. I know men that would kill to have their kids 50-50, but the woman would not allow it out of spite. You know? It's like, okay. Like, it's not nice to say, but I'm luckier than a lot of men in that regard. You know? I get to see my kids 50% of the time. You know what I mean? My kids love coming to my house. They love spending time with dad, you know? So I can be a good, strong role model for my boys. I can make myself the best I can be to give my kids good advice, you know, let them feel heard and loved, all that shit, supported. Like, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? There's people in jail that can't see their kids, you know? There's people that pass away that don't get to see their kids grow up. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, you know. It's not ideal, but it's happened, and I still got blessings. They're still healthy. I'm still a lucky, blessed dad and person, you know.
Man, it's great you say that, because I think so much maybe the acceptance is having the gratitude for the things that are still good.
Sure.
But then also the perspective to recognise that there's some people who would absolutely give anything.
Yeah.
To be in the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love the way that your brain works. I want to segue a little bit. Sort of we're coming towards the close, but one of the things I was really interested to ask you today is, it feels like there could be a little bit of a world of entertainment that you could step into and make some real moves. You already have done a little bit, like I seen your face pop up. Part of what reminded me to message you and, you know, pick up this chat and get you back here and finally organise a date was Last King of the Cross. Just finished that second season, and, you know, I know you were on set there. How was that experience, and do you want to do more of that?
It's fun, bro. I've done not that much. Say in the last 6 years, I've done a gig every 6 months on average. Okay. Whatever it is, cameo in a show, commercial, whatever. You know what I mean? I like it. It's fun. I like, people ask me because I'm a big, strong, ugly-looking dude. Like, we got a role for you and we're going to pay you. And I'm like, sweet. It's a fun experience. I enjoy it. And I'd love to do more. You know what I mean? It's a fun way to get paid, you know? Especially if you succeed at it. You know what I mean? Like, mad lifestyle, you know, very lucky. But, no, I enjoy it, bro. And it's very different. So it's good to break up the routine. And it's good to meet different people, and yeah, it's just a good experience. I enjoy it. Yeah, I'd love to do more.
What's your most enjoyable experience on set?
We done this commercial once. This was my funnest one because I got to dress up as like the Mexican wrestler. And I did you ever see that one on my Insta?
I didn't know.
It was years ago. I had less tattoos and that. But it was in the middle of Zetlands, like the whole street was closed down and like everyone was looking, like one of the main suburbs in Sydney. And I was like dressed up, the long pants, I had the mask on, no shirt, and it's some skit. And I ran up to a car and got someone and just put him over the shoulders in there. Boom, on the front of the bonnet. And the glass actually cracked, and it wasn't meant to. It didn't break all the way, but it cracked, and it was like, fuck. Because we're going to do a few takes. Yeah. And they weren't able to do any more takes, but we got the shot. So one and done. But that
one
was
take
fun.
wonder. Have a look at him.
Hey?
One take wonder, mate.
Yeah.
Don't need to
that
worry
was
about
fun. You know, you get to
yeah.
just throw someone into a car and get paid. Sign me up.
Well, it's so interesting because we've seen more of it the last couple of years. Like, and I think this would be a huge statement, but for me, I probably became conscious of it when the Mountain appeared in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like, there's no one else who could have played that role at that time.
Yeah.
Because where else do you find a guy that is that physically striking?
Biggest fucker in the
Right,
world.
yeah. He's a big unit.
Massive.
But then you start to see opportunities pop up where you go, and this is the beauty of it, right? And we've spoken about this a bit today. If you can have the self-love to recognize your uniqueness as a strength, then you will find opportunity for your uniqueness to be represented.
Maybe.
Right. And it's like, man, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah. Who knows what can come from it?
For sure.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to bank on it. But if a few things happen, cool. If nothing happens, sweet. I'm all good, Fun experience.
For sure.
Mix it up a bit. Yeah.
Is there anything else we should address before we finish up today?
Up to you, bro. You.
Is there anything that your heart's yearning to speak about in this kind of forum? Anything that you feel like you don't often get the opportunity to open up about?
Man, I just think that I think we touched a fair bit on the being vulnerable part, and I think it's such a big part. It's just one of those things that, like, it's very hard to do, especially as a man. To talk about your feelings, and especially if you're having bad feelings and bad thoughts. It's still like not as much nowadays, but it's still like a taboo thing. But it shouldn't be, bro. Like, it's just your emotions are your emotions. Like, you're allowed to feel a certain way. And regardless of what it is, it's okay. Like, I really want to fucking preach that. Like, when my son's got ADHD, and when he gets, like, flustered and that, you can see he starts getting frustrated, and, he starts getting a bit frustrated and angry and annoyed, and he just gets in a bad mood. And I just keep reminding him, like, Daddy, I just call him Dad, like a wog thing. I just say, son, like, it's okay to get angry. I go, you feeling angry? He goes, yeah, I'm angry. I'm like, it's okay to be angry. I'm like, just when you want to come back and talk to me, when you feel better, it's okay. Come back and talk to me. For now, you're angry. It's okay to be angry. Don't worry about it. You don't have to get sad. Don't have to get upset. It's okay to be angry. When you want to chat to me, I'm here. I'm listening. Just come back and chat to me. So it's just one of those things, like, accepting emotions and not being ashamed of them. Like, especially as a man, like, especially if you're still doing what you got to do, ticking boxes, kicking goals, doing your job, doing your work, training, whatever it is. Awesome. Like, if you're just sitting in a corner, that's when you need, like, a good talking to. All right, let's sort this out. But if you're doing what you got to do as a man, don't, like, be ashamed if you're having a bad time due to whatever it is that's bringing that on. Everyone's got challenges, So it's just one of those things, being a bit more aware of it, and understanding. That's what I think.
Beautifully said. I think that there is certainly a balance to be found in being, as you said, action-oriented, going out, getting after your business.
Correct.
Doing what you need to do.
Correct.
And even being action-oriented with your emotions. Yeah. You feel them, know how to act on them.
Yeah.
Like you said, know how to understand them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big believer, mate, in telling people how you feel, and not just when it's good or not just when it's bad, but all the time. Be honest. Mate, and I say this, I had a clip go viral online earlier this year that was me on a podcast, and in a moment of, I have many of these moments a day, of pure appreciation for how much I love my partner, there was this clip of me talking about how much the love that I experienced with her has positively affected my life.
Wow.
And I just shared this 1 minute of basically me being an emotional unit, talking about how much I love my missus.
Yeah.
Mate, it's potentially the greatest online success I had this year was what come from this clip reaching nearly 1 million people was all these guys started sharing it to their story, tagging their partner and saying something they loved about their partner.
How good.
Mate, made my year.
How good.
Because I thought there is this funny thing, this weird concept that we've got as blokes, that part of being a bloke is you have to go, oh, the old ball and chain, or, oh yeah, bloody the missus, she's a drag. Mate, what do you mean? That's the person you love.
Yeah.
That's the person you're creating a life with.
Yeah.
You should not only tell them and be open with expressing with them how you feel about them, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about life. To be honest, to be free in expressing your thoughts and your feelings. But you shouldn't be scared to tell other people.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're scared to tell the boys that you love your missus.
Yeah.
Bro, come on.
Yeah.
Are you a man or what? Own it.
Correct.
Own it.
Yeah,
and so, I love your message. And I think there couldn't be a better person to deliver it than you, because you have the perfect dynamic to reach and impact so many. And so I want to thank you for being here today, for having a really honest chat with me. But I also want to thank you for the work that you do.
Thanks, bro. Well, I appreciate you having me on. And that's really nice what you said, bro. So thank you very much.
My pleasure, brother.
Oh, and everyone eat some mushrooms and try some mushrooms. It'll save your life. Thanks, bro. Appreciate
Cheers.
it. Thanks, bro.